All right, what's going on, folks? Zach here. Today is February 7th, 2025, and this is a new exercise. So that is pretty exciting. We are starting up that first, basically the first stage of this two-stage prep I'm going to have going on for that show in August. And right now we are doing a little, well, technically I'm doing a deload right now. I had that back issue that I mentioned in the nutrition video the other day. And so I took a impromptu little resting microcycle where I essentially took, 3 days off. Didn't do any lifting. So I'm actually not going to have any markers of hypertrophy stimulus. I don't think I feel anything from today, which is good, or else I'd be a little concerned because this is actually a deload workout. So a deload is essentially the time you take once you've accumulated enough fatigue in a program where you're not really making progress, or you're starting to stall out, or you're just feeling like garbage all the time. Now, that could be from other factors too, but usually whenever the training is, in my case, it looks like the training was probably the major contributor to fatigue in this situation. So went ahead and took a little rest there, a few days off. It was a good accumulation. Happy with that 5-week long accumulation, working up some really good exercises. And I did get sick in that second week, so hey, we pushed through it, guys. We had to adapt and overcome on this one, but we ended up getting it done and getting the maximum amount of juice for the squeeze, I would say, in this situation, coming back from being sick and then being able to get all the way down to the 0 RR week. Unfortunately, that leg day absolutely crushed me, so back felt a little bit whack, so took some days off. But where are we now? Well, what I'm doing here is a little legs push-pull microcycle as a deload in order to prepare myself for this next 5-week accumulation I'm going to be doing before we go on vacation. And I'm putting some new exercises in. So you can see here I'm doing a barbell deficit sumo deadlift. I picked 115 for the load on this one. So essentially what I'm doing here, usually the first half, which is what I'm doing here, of a deload, I will do half volume, half reps. So I guess it's technically completely half volume. So in this case, I'm doing these sumo deadlifts 2 sets of 6 at 115. So that would indicate that I would be doing like 4 sets. Usually when I'm accumulating, actually pushing for hypertrophy, I would be doing like 4 sets of probably 8 to 12. And so that's why I picked 115 for 6. The sumo deadlifts felt weird, and they're probably going to feel weird for at least 2 to 3 weeks. Maybe, it could be even longer, but I wanted to switch up the leg day movements because high bar back squat, especially like moving up in weight and then just doing high bar back squat all the time, especially with my wonky legs with the that issue I had with my hip, kind of causes a little bit of strangeness. Squats feel great. I'm going to keep them in the program. I'll probably be programming squats like forever, but in terms of variability, and especially this is going to be a cutting macrocycle these 5 weeks, but I still want to prevent catabolism as much as possible, prevent muscle loss when I'm hypocaloric. So introducing variation is a good way of doing that. So that's what I'm kind of doing here. So the sumo deadlifts, and the way I was doing them out there with that deficit, getting like a deep stretch in the bottom, I'm basically just using my arms and my back and my upper body to keep the bar rigid so that I can slowly lower the load using my glutes and my hamstrings, and of course some quads there, bring the bar down to that stretch at the bottom and just like tap the weight on the floor. I'm not letting off, I'm tapping it there. Same kind of concept I'm doing most of the time with the stretch emphasis to try to maximize hypertrophy. We're doing it on the deadlifts too. So yeah, leg day was getting stale, and once I adjust to the movement there with those sumo deadlifts, we should be good to go. Now, next you saw the reverse Nordics. I'm going to keep those in. I like them. I haven't been doing them for that long, so they're not like stale for me. In fact, just a couple weeks ago, if you guys are following the videos, we ended up making a little tweak where I was pushing down on my toes the whole time and, trying to create more tension in the quad. And that ended up making, it ended up with a lot more burn and soreness after the work, like burn during the workouts, soreness and perturbation after the workouts. So good indicator that little fix helps. So I'm going to keep them in the program for a while. And then of course, guys, I can never get rid of them. They'll be here forever, I think. High bar back squat. The difference here is I'm picking a lower weight because I'm already going to be what's called pre-exhausted. That's where you provide a stimulus and you really increase the local fatigue at the muscle. So like my glutes, my hamstrings, and my quads have all been worked already in this session. And so what I'm doing here is I don't need as much load because all those muscles are tired already, so you don't need as much tension to make them work. But it is a little bit different from everything I've done prior in this session, right? So deadlift, that sumo deadlift is different. The force curve, the muscles working, all that stuff. And then the reverse Nordics are basically a bicep isolation movement with, of course, your hip musculature and your abs and stuff like that, your core, all those core muscles and stabilizers are involved, but they're not working like I'm making my quads work. So all the leg muscles are already pushed to like 60-70%, and then I'm going to crush them here with sets of 10 to 20 reps on the back squat. And I'm going to try to go for like 15 reps plus. I want these to be high rep sets, which anyone who's done high rep sets of high bar back squat, it's brutal. But here we are at the end. I just want to say thank you everybody who's subscribed. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm not a professional videographer or editor. I'm sure you guys can tell, but I'm trying to learn, and we got something interesting going here. I'm going to try to provide you guys with as much information about the process of prepping for this natural bodybuilding show as I can. So I'm going to get off this still image here, and I hope you guys have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.